Okay, terrific. To get started, my name's Elizabeth Birch. I am the General Counsel to the Ohio Manufactured Homes Association. I have been for about 25 years now. I advise association members in all aspects of law related to manufactured housing. And as General Counsel in my private practice, I specialize only in those aspects that affect manufactured housing. One of the areas that I advise in is contracts within the manufactured housing industry. And with installers, I have seen over and over, it was a lot worse 20 years ago, but it's getting better, is being unable or unwilling to address the fact you need a basic contract to do what you're doing. So we're going to start with basically the basics. You need to know what you should do, what you should not do in terms of contracting to do your work or change orders or things that you're giving away without putting into writing, which puts you at legal risk. So I'm going to go back. Nope. Okay. Looking at the screen, I have a PowerPoint up. Some of it may be common sense, but you'd be surprised when you're in the field at how sometimes the needs of the homeowner, your client, your customer, override your instincts to do a basic contract correctly. One of the things I've seen over the years, like I said, we're getting better, but I've seen contractors before, installers using their bid proposals as a contract. And I've seen that over and over, and there's a lot of problems with using your bid proposal as a contract. Number one, your business bid proposal is not a contract. Delineating just what you're going to do in a simple order without having the party sign is not a contract. What a contract has to have, and I'm going to say this a few times, it's got to address who, what, where, and why. And I've just given you the basics of what I learned in law school on my first day for how to create a contract. It's who, what, where, and why. You first want to develop the terms that form a basic contract. And what you've got to do first is describe what the purpose of the contract is. You don't have to go into a great deal of detail. What you want to say is, installation of manufactured home, and list the location. That's always important. You have to identify the parties by name and address, including your name, including your business address, the homeowner, and where the home is located, the address that you're going to be installing a home on. Identify the manufactured home, the serial number, the make and model, and let's see if I can't move that. If you have a hard time with that in terms of not having a serial number, MSO hasn't been turned in, identify it as best you can to indicate that this is the particular home you are installing. And location of the service to perform is critical. Now, in construction contract law, which doesn't necessarily apply to what you're doing, but it can, commencement and end dates of the service dates have to be listed in the contract. Now, I know everyone's going to say that's impossible. I can't control the weather. I can't control the manufacturer. I can't, there are many other things that foil your ability to plan out when you're going to install a home. I would estimate a window of service and add variables, there's a clause there, including but not limited to is important, weather, manufacturer, and circumstances beyond the control of the installer that may affect the dates of service. At minimum, you want that in your contract. And there is a home installer contract that the Ohio Department of Commerce has generously put together. So if you're in the field and you haven't thought to download this or print one of these contracts out, you can do what I suggested before and write it on a piece of paper. Even the back of your bid proposal can become a contract if you put your basics out. I do encourage you to obtain the homeowner installer contract. And the easiest way, I printed it up so you can get to it. Go to the Ohio Department of Commerce website, click on divisions, click on manufactured home program. There's a professional listing, bring that down, go to installers, click on installer information, and you will see a download link for the homeowner installer agreement. And I really would hope that you would download that to be a permanent fixture within your database. Print it out before you go and meet with the homeowner. In fact, all of your communications that you've had before you enter into the contract should be included within the contract. Under contract law, anything that is said before the contract is created and signed is null and void. It doesn't matter what was said. All that matters is what's in writing and signed by the two parties. So make sure anything that you've agreed to or that the homeowner is expecting is put into writing, and be aware that anything that's not could be held against you, but that would be really difficult as far as parole evidence, which I'm not going to go into. There are other clauses you want to look at. Terms of payment has to be in writing. Attached to the primary contract, the terms of payment into the contract that references all attached documents. So if there is a change, which inevitably there is, for a section of your payment, that change has to be put into writing. Even if you flip the back of the original contract over, note the change, have both parties sign it, and date it. Very important. You should have some sort of waiver and release and signatures. Very important. The original contract has to be signed by both parties. Any change orders have to be signed by both parties and attached to the original contract. Changes in payment terms have to be in writing. Changes in what you're doing at the actual home site have to be in writing. Again, who, what, where, and why. If your contract answers all the terms of these questions, then you're going to have a good basic contract. CO reports, which are available online, should be reviewed monthly to verify the following items are being tracked correctly, all permits issued, any extensions requested, any final inspections completed. It's also strongly recommended that installers verify that all of the permits that you pull and for which you've applied are there on the Department of Commerce's website. If there are any discrepancies in the report, it's your duty to contact the inspection agency that entered the information to the Ohio Department of Commerce. You can't go back later and point that they made the mistake. If you catch it, the burden's on you to correct that. And I put down the link there. So protect yourself. Any changes in the contract, write out a change order. That should say write out a change order. Be specific and have it signed. There are so many things that I've heard over the course of my career in manufactured housing. Small things can be blown up in a lawsuit. It was originally one time discussed in a contract that the installer would install the decking. What wasn't addressed was who was going to get the decking to the home site. That's a basic that should have been addressed. And so there was a fight between the homeowner and the installer as to who was actually going to bring the decking to the home site. And you don't want to have those basics left out. So no matter how small, think of all the details involved. For example, decking, HVAC. Homeowners sometimes have a strange idea that many installers are going to cover that when an HVAC specialist needs to handle that. You need to address all the particulars, all the details. You forget as an installer that you know so much. And the homeowner has to be looked at as somebody who doesn't understand what's going on. And you have to lead them from ground zero through the basics and make sure every step that you're discussing with them is in writing and signed by the parties, either the change order or the original contract, obviously. If you sense a troublesome homeowner, take pictures and keep them. I've had a couple of cases where contractors trying to do his punch out, the installer's trying to finish up with his punch list and still has a ways to go when a homeowner starts moving in, literally starts moving in without the C of O, and the contractor is afraid to say something. They figure they're almost done. What does it matter? It matters. It mattered in a particular lawsuit where a homeowner was moving in and brought extension cords out of one outlet when there were still a dozen to be installed. And that created problems later on for that installer who got sued. It would have been fantastic if the installer had taken a picture of the woman who did that, trying to move into the home before you were finished as an installer and before the C of O was actually issued, because it turned out she lied later and said, no, I never did that. And it was the installer's word versus the homeowner's word. And then you go before a judge and they're going to flip a coin. So if you see something that's going to be troublesome for you, or the homeowner is troublesome and you know you're going to have problems later, take pictures. Take pictures of what's going on. Take pictures of maybe an electrical outlet you sense is going to be a problem. There was another home that was installed where apparently the homeowner, before the home was moved, it was a used home that had been moved from one location to another. There had been smoking in the home prior to the home being moved. So after the installer installed the home, the homeowner came back and said all of the drips and leaks coming down from the ceiling, where she had tried to use some sort of cleaner to clean tobacco off the walls, she came back later and said that was the result of the installer not legging the roof on correctly, and therefore those stains were the installer's responsibility to correct, and not the homeowners who actually created the disaster. So if you see something like that, take a picture, note the date, and make notes that this was not this is the way the home came in and not the result of the actual set. And if you have any questions regarding contracts, I'm certainly available. My email address is at the bottom, my direct line. You can call me at the OMHA, 614-799-2340. And if you need help going through the homeowner installer contract that is available through the Ohio Department of Commerce, please call me. We can discuss what you want in terms of issues relating to the contract or any additions you wish to make. So thank you for your time, and make sure you get those contracts done
quite a few other webinars back in person next year. Thank you.
Thank you.